Welcome in Wednesday edition Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio here with you today. We'll talk college football playoff rankings. The Rebels debuting at number 10 in the first rankings of the season. Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Washington the odd team out right now at number 5, Oregon at 6. We'll go through all that and more coming up on today's show. Also today, Austin Barbour is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit of election, as the governor's race will have its general election on Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Yeah, that's correct. This Tuesday between incumbent Tate Reeves and Brandon Presley. So we'll go through some of the details with that one. Runoff possible in that this year. So we'll hit some reasons why that's the case and more with Austin and some other stuff too. Rangers can win the World Series tonight. They go up 3-1 on the Arizona Diamondbacks last night. They got a couple injuries, but they're still just plugging along, getting it done there. So they can end it in Arizona tonight. So all that and more coming up on today's show. MPW Digital Podcast brought to you by Twisted Tea every day and the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West. Remember to stop in on Saturday morning coming to town. It's an early game time. Probably going to need gas, fuel, some Gatorade stuff from a night before. Head into the Oxford Exxon. You can pick up some helmet decals, the magnets there. You can enter to win for a pair of game day shoes, or get something to eat, whether it be for the Grove and tailgating with their ribs, their pork, and much more, or just simply some snacks along the way. Again, that's the Oxford Exxon, and then we're coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product looking for. Send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900 is the number. Corey and the people at Clark Ford, they want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Austin Barbour. All other guests join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. The Campbell Clinic's in Oxford now, 2608 South Lamar Boulevard, Suite 102. Just across the street from the cottages at Hooper Hollow. The Campbell Clinic provides full-service orthopedic care, everything from sports medicine to foot and ankle surgery to spine and total joint care to pediatric orthopedics, physical therapy, and more. To book an appointment, go to campbellclinicoxford.com or call 901-759-3111. Walk-ins always welcome at the Campbell Clinic, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So as we have learned, these college football playoff rankings, I guess they're in their 10th season. Is that correct? Because the first one was 2014 when Ole Miss and State both debuted in the top 4. So isn't that right?
I think that's right. You will be breaking the news to me. I'm very uninformed on what happened with the rankings last night, in large part because, look, this is a made-for-TV thing, and it's a little early.
Well, that's kind of where I was going here, is that things just are going to work themselves out for multiple reasons. A, there's so many games left to be played. B, conference champions do get the benefit of the doubt, if you will. I mean, that is one of the things, is winning your conference that they look at there. So until you know those things, a team can be 5th today. Everybody can win out in front of them. They can win out and they still jump somebody because they win a conference.
Right.
So this isn't, hey, if you're 4th, if you just win out, you're in. That's not how this works. So that's why here in week 1, it's so stupid, except for a few teams where you go, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's a problem, or that's a problem. Outside of that, it's really a nothing burger, because there's just too many variables left in their equation that we don't even have yet.
Yeah, this is where I'm bad at this, because I have a difficult time almost even generating a shred of interest in the numbers until about 2 more weeks. In about 2 weeks, they start getting kind of interesting a little bit, because games get played and you start getting a feel for like what would happen if. But, right now, I mean, it's pretty predictable. The winner of the Big Ten is going to get in. The winner of the SEC is going to get in all likelihood.
Well,
my guess is as long as Oregon and Washington don't have any other loss, the winner of that game will get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess there's there's a certain degree of drama in the Big 12.
Your issue comes, and again, the Big 12, and we'll get into it. So, okay, Ole Miss is at 10. the top 10. Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan 3. They pointed out that Michigan's scandal, if we want to call it that, currently going on is a college football issue, they said an NCAA issue, not a college football playoff issue. So that factored nothing into their decision to put them at the Wolverines at number 3, Florida State at number 4, Washington 5, Oregon 6, Texas 7, Alabama 8, Oklahoma 9, Ole Miss 10. SEC teams or Ole Miss opponents behind that: Missouri at 12, LSU at 14, Tennessee at 17, Tulane at 24. As of today, Tulane would be the group of 5 team that made the Access Bowl rotation. They are one spot ahead of Air Force at 24 and 25. So those two teams very much on top of one another. But I think Tulane is probably one of those programs that woke up thinking, hey, that's pretty notable that we have a loss, they don't, and we are ahead of them. So that probably is one to at least watch the rest of the way. But again, they're one spot apart, and there's a lot of games left. So.
Yeah.
What it tells you, if Alabama at number 8 wins out with a win over Georgia, as long as Georgia doesn't lose a bunch between now and then, which won't happen, they're probably in. They would jump enough winning the SEC to get in at that point. Versus like a Missouri who probably wouldn't at 12, just for the hell of a conversation. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's too low.
Although I'd be curious to see what Missouri's number was next week if they beat Georgia Saturday.
They would jump to 7 or 8
or even higher.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Big 12, as mentioned, Texas at 7, Oklahoma at 9. I guess that's really it. Kansas and Kansas State at 21 and 23. Oklahoma State actually at 24. Mike Gundy's done a good job changing that program in midseason.
He's a good coach.
So for Ole Miss, because we'll localize it here. If you went out and go 11-1, you really need chaos inside the SEC, just with teams getting that second loss to cause the problem. I think you actually need. I think your chaos would be to get in if you're really just having this conversation.
Okay.
Again, it's whatever. I understand, but it's where we are. LSU beats Alabama, gives them a second loss. Alabama beats Georgia. Ole Miss beats Georgia, obviously, in this circumstance. And Ole Miss ends up the only SEC one-loss team. You would have a very good argument at that point because your one loss is in Tuscaloosa and you've won in Athens and you won the rest of your games and you beat LSU, while LSU technically would have won the SEC in this equation because LSU would be beating Georgia, not Alabama. Either way, whatever.
Yeah.
So that is the route for Ole Miss. Because if you get that, then you're talking about, okay, you probably need Michigan or Ohio State's going to beat each other. The one-loss team's probably out because it happens late in the season, and that's just how stuff works. The winner's in. Georgia would have 2 losses, so they'd be out at that point. Probably need Florida State to do something weird, but again, that's kind of where we are. I don't know. Right? Is that the path as you would see it? You good with that?
I think. I don't know.
I think that's right.
I mean, again, what's today? The first?
November 1st.
What's the date of the Georgia game?
November 11th.
If in 10 days, Ole Miss
has one
9-1, having just beaten Texas A&M,
you'll be
and
more
Georgia,
interested in that Tuesday, right?
I will be much more engaged in this conversation than I am right now. I'm not saying Ole Miss can't win. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it sort of feels like it feels like an exercise in somewhat. It feels incredibly premature.
That's not wrong.
And I mean, I know that means that I'm not very good at this. I totally understand. I just can't make myself put a lot of energy into something of that nature.
I mean, to be frank, I look at it, and I don't know if there's any team who greatly deserves some better fate that just doesn't have it here. Like, it looks like they did a pretty good job. I don't see some major issue.
They've always been.
You can argue Ole Miss over Oklahoma.
Sure.
And
you can argue Oklahoma over Ole Miss.
But that's about it. Like, I really got nothing.
So if we had 12-team playoff, which
I've got that. You want to know?
Yeah, this would be where the fun would be. So what would the matchups
as
be?
Of today?
Yeah.
A 12-team playoff. And again, there would be tons of games left.
Sure.
But Ole Miss would be in good shape. That's where we're going here.
Yeah.
Because they would be able to sustain a loss and still get in.
Yeah, because the loss would be to number 2.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right.
So your buys would be Ohio State, number 1, Georgia, number 2, Florida State, number 3, Washington, number 4. Okay.
All right.
Because you can't get a bye without winning your conference under the rules as we currently have them set.
Okay.
The format rules today: 6 auto bids to the highest ranked conference champs, whatever those conferences are. 6 at-large bids to the next highest ranked teams. Top 4 champs get byes. 5 to 8 seeds host on-campus first-round games. So Ohio State, Washington, Florida State, Georgia, your byes. Ohio State would get the winner of 8-seed Alabama hosting 9-seed Oklahoma.
Okay. I mean,
winner goes to Ohio State.
That would get some massive ratings.
Washington would get the winner of 5-seed Michigan against 12-seed Tulane.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a little bit of a dud game, but it is what it is.
I don't know. Most of the country would cheer for Tulane.
They would, yes. Florida State in the Orange Bowl would get the winner they're not home games. I apologize. I was giving home games to those second-round games. They're not. They're bowl games.
Okay.
So Ohio State would face Alabama or Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. Michigan Tulane winner would face Washington in the Fiesta Bowl.
But Alabama, Oklahoma would play in Tuscaloosa?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
First-round games on campus.
So Tulane would go to Ann Arbor?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Florida State in the Orange Bowl would get the winner of Penn State at Oregon.
Okay.
Winner going to the Orange Bowl. And then in the Peach Bowl, Georgia would get the winner of Ole Miss at Texas.
I mean, you get massive numbers.
I mean, it's hard to really argue these.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, these, in serious, I know we're a year away. These home games are going to be really freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like, really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the home games are.
You're forgetting who you're talking to. I've been on the expand the playoff for at least 10 years.
I know. And I get it. And look, for our business, 12 makes tons of sense. I still would have been fine with 8, I'll be honest. But
I'm fine with 16.
That's too many.
Nah.
You got teams getting in then.
It's
like,
games.
what are we doing?
It's just games.
You got 4 lost teams getting in
It's
at
games.
16.
You get games.
Yeah.
Everybody loves games.
I do think that actually devalues the regular season. I don't think this does. I think this makes it better. I think 12 makes it better. Because you can't just completely fall apart.
No.
Because if it's 16, Ole Miss could maybe go, hey, we could lose to A&M, Georgia, and State.
No, you wouldn't. They'd fall out of that.
So I don't know. I think 12 is going to end up making the most sense of any number, as much as I've fought it for a while.
Yeah, I've always been cool with 12.
So yeah, that's where it's at.
I mean, if you don't make the top 12, you did something that you cost yourself.
I don't think the bye hurts football teams the way it potentially hurts baseball teams. You get arrested. It's not a rhythm game in the same way.
Totally different. Look, the Rangers finished the regular season awful. Sometimes it's just sports.
It's true.
I mean, the Rangers were awful at the end of the regular season. They choked the whole month of September, basically. And they just got hot. It's sports. Teams get hot. And then once
teams get better. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
They're 10-0 on the road in the postseason. That's red hot. That's hard to replicate. At any point during the season, does a team go 10-0? Does a team win 10 straight road games in Major League Baseball? It rarely happens. But it's happened here, and it's happened at the right time, and they're a win away from a championship. And it doesn't cheapen the championship.
If you did a 16-team playoff, the teams added would be Louisville, LSU, Notre Dame, Oregon State.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Tennessee would be the first team out. Would love to watch that, by the way. It'd be fun.
I will not listen to, even next year, the 13 and 14 teams going, we got screwed. No, you didn't. Nope. It's why I really can't stand the.
And here's the buffer to that is they really have to be 11 because you got probably that group of 5 at 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although I'm totally against that.
That's where the 6 and 6 is the issue. Is it guarantees basically that 6th team? I mean, although we have no Pac-12 next year, so how are you getting to 6?
I don't know.
That would give 2 group of 5s in.
I'm totally against that. I'm against one group of 5.
That's a problem, actually. I didn't really think about that. Barring a change to what Dellinger is predicting, if it's the 6 highest ranked conference champions, you're talking about American and Mountain West and Sun Belt because we don't have conferences. Unless we think the Mountain West is going to merge into the Pac-12 in the next 6 months. Are they?
I don't know.
Are Oregon State and Washington State just going to play each other and the winner gets in?
As of this moment, I don't know what is happening with the whole Pac-2 / Mountain West thingy. I don't know whether the Big 12 is going to add more. I don't know. I don't know what's happening to those teams.
Yeah, it needs to be top 5 conference champs, not 6.
What's the 5th conference?
Well, I just mean even in the current format.
Oh, I'm talking about next year. Man.
Brian said he thinks 2 Group of 5s getting in is going to be the norm.
Well, that'll kill that first weekend.
That's just taking a spot. I mean, that's...
So that would be Air Force.
It'd be Air Force and Tulane getting in.
I mean, give me a break.
Kicking out Penn State, I think. Yeah, kicking out Penn State.
Just take the champs from the 4 leagues and then take the next best 8 teams. Period. Why do people overcomplicate this? And, well, we got to make sure that the little guy gets in. No, you don't. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to watch that. Of the games you just mentioned, the one dud would be Tulane at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be that deal. Yeah, I'm not watching that. Wait, someone send me an email if it's late third quarter and they're in it.
Yeah. You get a game like last year where Tulane go, whoa, okay, now we're in it. But that's not the norm.
Yeah, I mean, the junkies will watch that, the diehards. But that's the game where you wanted me to start putting up the Christmas stuff? Here, I'll do it during that game.
I don't know what schedule would be for that. Yeah, I don't know. Logistically, I don't know what that would be. Snoop says, when would the campus games be held? And in a hypothetical situation, would Ole Miss allow students back on campus during winter break? I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
It would be mid-December.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got to do it in time.
Don't we actually have dates for these already?
I've not seen that.
I feel like
Could
we have
be.
dates.
Two Group of 5s. That sucks.
You're just now starting to let that click in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to watch Air Force play somebody. I really don't. They're not winning. I mean, is Air Force one of the 12 best teams in the country? Really? In any computer analysis? I mean, the answer is no. If you made Air Force play a Big 10 schedule or an SEC schedule or a Big 12 schedule, they'd have multiple losses.
2024 season, first round on-campus games, Friday, December 20th, 1 game in the evening, and Saturday, December 21st, 3 games, early afternoon, late afternoon, and evening.
Wow, you could get some snow games.
Quarterfinals, December 31st in the evening, January 1st, early afternoon, late afternoon, and evening.
Yeah.
Semifinals, January 9th and January 10th, evening on both games. National championship, Monday, January 20th.
Okay.
It's a long season.
It's a long season.
Camp on August 1st.
It's a long season.
To January 20th.
It's a long season.
Orange Bowl and Cotton Bowls are your semifinals. Fiesta and Peach and Rose and Sugar are your quarters. And the national championship for this season will be in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Okay.
So that is your situation.
You typically would get pretty good weather in the South December the 20th, December the 21st. It's not typically ice cold. It's cold, but it's not. I mean, there's been some Decembers here where it's in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah. I've worn shorts on Christmas. You can get a day.
They've had some cold Christmases. But, I mean, you get a game in Columbus, Ohio, or Ann Arbor, Michigan, Madison, Wisconsin, December the 21st, dude.
Yeah,
all bets are off.
You would get a weather advantage if you had snow in Ann Arbor for Tulane in Michigan.
Well, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what night did I say the championship was on?
January 20th.
Yeah, what day of the week? It's a Monday again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals on Wednesday and Thursday. Semifinals on a Thursday and Friday. And the national championship on Monday.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah, whatever. People will stop and watch.
I'll be curious to see how it runs out.
They'll get massive ratings.
We're going to go to Austin in a minute, and we're going to change topics. But I'm coming back to this. Did you read the latest on this Michigan thing with the guy dressing up?
Yeah, Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We can no longer go, hey, everybody does this.
No.
We're way beyond that now.
Yeah, Tyler and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's now like I've gone from this is no big deal to this is kind of a big deal. I don't think Jim Harbaugh survives this.
I think the program should be hammered, frankly, because you're making a mockery of the entire thing now.
Agreed.
It's not even necessarily the advantage you get. It's just, what the hell are you doing?
But that's not a program that they'd like to hammer. I don't know what happens. Central Michigan's going to get hit hard.
Jesus.
Central Michigan allowed that to happen on their sideline.
Yeah.
They're about to get hammered.
NCAA is so pissed off at Kansas basketball. Ball State gets popped.
I mean, I'm totally serious. I anticipate Central Michigan's going to get just absolutely obliterated.
My favorite part of this, and I get the whatever of it, but from a corporate standpoint, yeah, we're suspending Connor Stallions without pay. Yeah, because it's his fault.
Well, that's clearly going to be their defense. He
did it all. I don't know.
He did all of this on his own.
Yeah, he just decided, what?
He went rogue. And he went to the Central Michigan sideline, and they gave him gear, but he bought gear and snuck onto their sideline because that happens all the time.
And then a lot of talk that the NFL would punish Harbaugh if he jumped.
Really?
Which is an interesting move. Yeah, I'll look for that as we continue the podcast. We're going to talk some, it's one segment. Don't freak out if you got some non-sports issues. We're going to talk about the Mississippi Governor's race coming up with Austin Barbour in a few minutes. First, you're ready to elevate your college football game day experience. Check out Twisted Tea, your go-to game day beverage for college football fans. Twisted Tea is unlike any hard beverage you've had before. It's made with real brewed tea. Packs a flavorful punch with 5% alcohol, no carbonation, delivering the perfect balance of taste and refreshment that goes down smooth for every game day occasion. No need to settle for the usual. Twisted Tea turns up any occasion, especially when you're cheering for your favorite team, when you're tailgating in the stadium, parking lot, watching a bar, hosting friends at home. Twisted Tea is there to elevate your experiences. It complements your love for college football and your passion for creating unforgettable moments. So let's toast to unforgettable game day experiences. Twisted Tea, the drink that feels fun and celebrates your love for college football. Keep it twisted.
We're also brought to you by Dead Soxy, best socks you can put on your feet. We'll have a post-game show on Saturday afternoon. That'll be brought to you by Dead Soxy. Go to deadsoxy.com, promo code Rebel Grove at checkout for 25% off your order. I'll have a post-game column after Ole Miss Texas A&M on Saturday afternoon. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors. If you're searching for residential or commercial properties in Oxford or Tupelo, contact Whitney for amazing professional service and support. Contact Whitney at tmhomes.com or 662-257-2573. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with a personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago with Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting, see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. We'll have a hand-raised guys of some sort tomorrow. We're still sort of working on our schedules. That'll be brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern 662-429-4429. A-Stock's a Nashville-based online retail company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items start at just $1. That's right. Every item starts at just $1, no matter what the retail value may be. You can name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers at A-Stock with multiple locations around Nashville, Memphis, and other locations as well. So, again, astock.bid. If you're coming up this weekend, make sure you stop by the College Corner in Oxford, the newest location of the College Corner. They've got 2 locations in Jackson and now 1 in Oxford, just off Sisk Avenue in the Oxford Commons. More than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear. Plenty of parking available. Their staff will have you in and out, ready for the Grove in no time. It's open. It's open since mid-August, so go check it out if you haven't yet. It's collegecornerstore.com. And we're brought to you by Game Changer Patches. GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
Podcast is brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer medicine for your prescriptions same time each month. Take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, One delivering everything you need when you need it with G&M. They'll also help you transfer your medications. One phone call, they take care of the rest. That is Holly Springs with Tyson Drugs or G&M in Oxford, 662-236-2222. Go now to Austin. Take a second there.
Hello.
Austin, how are you?
Hey, Chase. Good morning.
Morning. Appreciate you giving us a little time today. Debate tonight between Brandon Presley and Tate Reeves. Election coming up on Tuesday. Happy to have you for a few minutes, and we'll jump right into it. I'm just kind of curious. We had 4 years ago, it was Tate Reeves. It was Jim Hood. Jim was on this podcast, actually, in the weeks leading up to the election. We were all talking about that kind of electoral college rule in Mississippi at the time where you had to win the popular vote and the most House districts as well. That rule is now gone. And it seems to be we're expecting a tighter election than even 4 years ago. Ended up going, I think, 51-46 in favor of Tate Reeves. What's sort of your general landscape of this thing on for Tuesday?
It's a totally different race than it was 4 years ago. And the reason that I say that is, well, you've got an incumbent governor this time, obviously, an incumbent governor in Tate Reeves, who's got a record that some people love and some people hate, and some people are, sort of in between. But on the Democrat side, as you guys know, Jim Hood had been elected statewide as Attorney General at least 2 times. I think it was maybe 3 times statewide. So he had statewide name ID. And with Brandon Presley, you've got a public service commissioner from Northeast Mississippi who's not as well known throughout the state. But he's been able to solve that because the Democrat Governors Association, which is the national association that tries to elect governors around the country, and when I looked last night, had given him $5.85 million. So Brandon Presley has been able to overcome the name ID problem that he's had to deal with that Jim Hood didn't have to deal with because he has cash. He has cash from his national party. The Biden Democrat Party has said, "Hey, look, we got to go try to win this race in Mississippi." So that's the biggest difference. Is you've got an incumbent in Tate Reeves, not an open seat, and you've got a Democrat who's got money to burn.
So what does that make for next week? I mean, in general, what do you think Presley's lane is to potentially make this incredibly competitive, to either get into a runoff or win this thing?
Well, I mean, listen, because of our demographics, these races are competitive for the most part. If the Republican and Democrat, I should say the Democrat mostly, because the Republican typically is funded and a lot of times well-funded, and Tate Reeves is certainly well-funded. He's been able to raise, I think $14, $15 million in this election cycle. I kind of laughed at the Mississippi Today. They tweeted gleefully yesterday, and look, they are what they are. They are very much in the Homer camp for or at least I'll say anti-Tate Reeves. And they tweeted yesterday that Brandon Presley, has outraised Tate Reeves by $5 million in the 23 quote cycle. Well, that's not true. In this cycle, a cycle is a 4-year cycle. And what has happened is Tate Reeves has been able to raise a lot of money. He's one of the best fundraisers that the Republican Party has ever had. He's, raised $14, $15 million. But Presley has been able to raise a lot of money too. So therefore, we're going to have what looks like it's going to be a close race. I still think Tate Reeves is the favorite going into this race. Mississippi is still a conservative state. But I think we're staring at obviously a single digit race. It is not going to be a double digit race. And I think Tate won by 4.5 points 4 years ago. I think you're probably somewhere in that range, could be less. But then it gets to the whole turnout game, man. And
that's what I was getting ready to ask you about. I was getting ready to ask you about turnout because I was just thinking to myself, Chase and hey, Austin, good to talk to you. Chase and I were having this conversation yesterday when we got finished with the show as we were processing the audio and all that stuff. And I was like, man, I don't even know I mean, I guess I'll vote like if it's convenient, if my time works out right, if my schedule works out, but I'm not super motivated to vote. I'm not like a big Reeves guy at all. And yet, I'm typically not one to go vote for Democrats. And I can't imagine that I'm alone here in my sentiment.
No, you're not. I think there's an enthusiasm issue probably on both sides. I don't think we've had this conversation. Politics, elections, campaigns in Mississippi have really changed a lot in 2023. And what I mean by that is our primaries on both the Republican and Democrat side are deciding who's going to win. We don't have a lot of local general elections. I sort of nerded out yesterday and put together a Google document of all 82 counties and sort of, because I'm sick and tired of like, okay, who's going to turn out? I was like, well, hell, man, let me go try to figure this out myself. And I'm not a part of Tate's campaign. He's a friend. I'm for him. I know those people. I want him to win. Obviously, I'm biased and I'm transparent in that. But I wanted to try to figure out myself on who's going to turn out. So I went through every single county and looked to see, is there a sheriff's race there? Obviously, sheriff's races draw people out. And when I say a sheriff's race, not just an incumbent versus some, independent candidate have a chance, but is there a real race there? Is there a circuit clerk race there? Is there board of supervisor races? Is there a legislative race that can draw people out? And we'll just use Lafayette County for instance. This is a purple county, which means it's a single-digit county from who won it last year. Hood won Lafayette 53-46 last time. Your incumbent Sheriff Joey East is up for a re-election, but Clay DeWeese is also has an opponent, and I think you've got a chance for clerk race there. So when I look at Lafayette County, I think that could be a decent turnout, because there are local races that will draw people out. You've got local candidates who are talking to friends and family and neighbors, whether it's, Clay DeWeese, who's a state rep, or Joey East, who's your sheriff, of the people who run for chancery clerk. So those kinds of people, you need to have local races to help spur turnout, because you may know, Neal and Chase, one of those individuals who live in Lafayette County that I just talked about, probably a lot more likely than Brandon Presley or Delbert Hoseman or Tate Reeves or whomever else. So those local races help with turnout. And there are a lot of counties in Mississippi, both blue and red counties, that just don't have any local races. So that means it's just even more difficult for these folks who run for governor to drag their folks out to the polls. And particularly, Neal, when I think about what you just said, these campaigns get really negative towards the end, and sometimes negativity works to inspire somebody because they're frustrated or they're upset. But a lot of times you need some positive, you need some contrast to help people go, yeah, I really like that guy or that lady, and I'm going to go vote for them. So, but turnout's the key. And when I did my analysis yesterday, which is probably what you're waiting for, I think it favors Tate Reeves, because I just think there are more Republican counties that have more local races that will draw people out than there are Democrat counties.
You said name ID on Presley, and I guess this just relates to turnout a little bit. Is obviously he's well known as the Public Service Commissioner in North Mississippi. Did a really good job. He's got a name ID related to Elvis, and Harold Ray Presley, the Lee County Sheriff that was killed in action, was his uncle, and a lot of the stuff like that up here, where probably needs some massive turnout. And then Tate's obviously a behemoth on the coast. What are you sort of looking for Tuesday as these things start piling up with votes?
Yeah, what's even, there's another variable right there, Chase, is that Tate has done really well in Northeast Mississippi. When we first did Haley's campaign in 2003, when he was running against incumbent Governor Ronnie Musgrove, we always looked at the 15 counties in Northeast Mississippi and said, we got to go win those, because Republicans had lost those in 1999. We were very fortunate to win 13 of those 15 counties. Tate Reeves, that is part of his base, those counties. That he has done really well. Rural Mississippi and Jackson, Harrison, Hancock County, particularly Jackson and Harrison County on the coast, those are Tate Reeves' base. He's he won Rankin County, which is one of the biggest counties in the state, but those are his base. So I think he cuts in to where Brandon Presley, where you would think his stronghold will be. So it'll be very interesting to look at election returns at places like Tisch and Itawamba and Alcorn County, to Lee County, to see how Tate does. And then is turnout where it needs to be in Jackson County, Harrison County, Rankin, Lamar, Jones, sort of Pine Belt area, just places where there are actually people who live, where there's strong population bases. But I was looking at absentee ballot numbers yesterday compared to 4 years ago. They seem to be about on par. So I don't see anything right now, and there's still 3 or 4 days left, that suggests there's something out there that Brandon Presley has this major wave that's happening that people aren't seeing, at least from an absentee ballot standpoint. We don't have early voting in Mississippi. I'm doing a race in Virginia right now where they have early voting, and you could really get an understanding of what's going on. It's harder in Mississippi because Election Day matters so much.
Does anyone pay attention to this debate at all tonight? Does it have any variability on anything?
Yeah, it's funny. I had that conversation with somebody yesterday. This is one of these, man, you just don't want to screw up, and that's how most debates are. You just don't want to screw it up. You don't want to walk out of there and have thrown up on yourself. Don't make any major mistakes. I don't think either one of these guys are going to make any mistakes. They're going to go after each other. They're both pretty damn good on the stump. They don't make a lot of mistakes. I think it will be uneventful for the most part. I do. They'll both get their hits in. They'll both state their record, what their vision is. I do think people watch it because it's the only one, and there's a lot of money that's being spent on this governor's race. So I think people are certainly somewhat interested in it. But it's just hey, let's just survive it and, not fall down on our face for the most part.
It's tonight at 7 o'clock on Mississippi Public Broadcasting's radio and television stations. I think it's also doing some Jackson area stuff on TV as well. Do you expect someone to win this thing outright with more than 50%, or do you expect a runoff?
Well, I can't predict that. I do think that if you put a gun to my head, you've got to predict that. I think Tate gets over the 50% threshold on election night. Look, if it goes to a runoff, I think that's a bad thing for Brandon Presley. I think there are Republicans who will say, you know what, I didn't go vote on November the 7th, but now I've had 3 weeks to hear about Joe Biden controlling the governor's mansion in Mississippi and this and that, and yeah, we need to elect a Republican. We need to have a Republican governor in Mississippi. So I think Presley's best chance to win is he's got to win on November 7th. If it goes to a runoff, I don't think he can win that. And I think if you ask a Democrat, they'd say the same thing.
If Presley won, what would that on November 7th? What would that tell you?
Oh man, that's a good question, Neal. Yeah, I would be really surprised. And here's why. And this is why when I think about this race, and I think about races in the past, and you think about, well, how did that incumbent lose? There has to be something definitive that when you talk to voters about them, exit polling of like, hey, why'd you vote against that incumbent, whether Republican, Democrat? It's got to be something really big that they're mad about, some massive scandal. The economy's in the tank, something that's just really bad. And I don't think that exists with Tate. I really don't. I think if you polled in Lafayette County right now or around the state, you say, hey, what are the 2 biggest issues? Always jobs and economy is going to be the biggest issue, okay? And if you look at our economy right now, Mississippi, it's pretty darn good. If you look at sort of the job market, I mean, he's got a very impressive record, he being Tate Reeves, on job creation. And then if you go look at education, which is typically in a battle with healthcare on what the second biggest issue is, I mean, hell, man, when you have the New York Times and the LA Times that are writing stories about the Mississippi Miracle and what has happened over the last 5 to 10 years for the education of Mississippi, it's as good as it's been in maybe ever, particularly with our high school graduation rates, which is approaching 90%. So I think there's just not that single issue on Governor Reeves from letting go. I got to throw him out, got to replace him with a Democrat. So I think if Brandon Presley won on election night, I would be shocked because I just don't believe there's that one thing. People don't love Tate Reeves. Okay, I think that's what you just said, Neal, is that you're not the biggest Tate Reeves fan. Right? When you think about whether you're going to go vote, and if you do, what you're going to vote about, or why you're going to vote one versus the other, I think you will go back and think about, okay, this guy's a conservative. He may not be somebody that I'm just in love with, but I think fundamentally on the issues that really matter in this state, that matter to me and my household, which is my income coming in, my situation with my children and their education, these types of things, there's no reason to change course to something that is unique for Mississippi, at least in modern history, which is to go to a Democrat governor for the past 20 years.
Yeah, Musgrove, the last one for that. I'm just curious here. And we've seen the flyers, watched the thing. I mean, I've done some semblance of research, but what issues do you feel like in the state are vastly different to where the winner of this, makes a huge difference? I mean, where are you seeing hey, if a Presley-led governorship looks like this versus a Reeves second term, it looks like this? Because obviously Presley is not Gavin Newsom or somebody.
I don't know, Chase. That's a really good question. I mean, we've got supermajorities, Republican supermajorities in both the House and the Senate. Delbert Hosemann, who's our lieutenant governor, has a very strong sense about the policy direction that he wants to take the Senate, and that he thinks the state needs to go. You're going to have a brand new Speaker of the House, very likely to be Jason White, who is the current Speaker Pro Tem, smart guy, lawyer from rural Mississippi. I don't think they're going to be looking at to a Democrat governor for leadership on policy decisions, policy directions for the state. I think a Governor Presley would find himself in a difficult situation of trying to get what he wants to do from an agenda item standpoint completed in the legislature. So I don't know. I think he'd find it tough sledding.
Is that a bad thing? I mean, either way. I mean, a little less supermajority, is that bad for the state?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I do. I mean, I think our state. Look, I'm biased, but you're asking me.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm biased, but I believe in what I believe, and I'm a conservative. I don't think it's a good thing for Mississippi to have an individual. But I think about it for what matters to me, Chase.
Yeah, sure.
And that is, I live in Jackson. Okay, I'm raising my kids in Jackson. Crime is my number one issue. All right, and I think about what Tate Reeves has done. And this doesn't matter to you guys because y'all live in Oxford, but I think about what he has done with Capitol Police. We have terrible crime problems in Jackson, and our local elected officials haven't done anything about it. But he saw this, he being the governor, and worked with the legislature to expand authority, expand the numbers of Capitol Police to try to help solve our crime problem in Jackson. But that's an issue that matters to me. That's not one that matters to you guys. It could be education, it could be jobs, it could be healthcare, whatever it is. But yeah, I do think it really matters. I think it matters who's governor, and that's why I'm supporting Tate Reeves, because of the issues that are important to me. He checks those boxes.
Last thing, do you think Brandon Presley today or Jim Hood 4 years ago is in better shape with a week to go?
Man, that's a good question. I just don't know what turnout's going to be. Okay. I guess I'd have to say probably Presley because he's got so much more money. And the honest answer is I think it's probably Presley. because I mean, when the National Party has given you nearly $6 million, at least that I know of, that gives you a greater chance, particularly with a ground game operation that you should have on election day. But we'll see. We'll see what ultimately happens. I do think when this thing is over, sometime late in the night on Tuesday, that Tate Reeves will win another close election. Tate Reeves has won close elections every single time he's run from 2003 in the Republican primary when he was in a 3-person primary that he won in a runoff, beat the favorite incumbent, the Democratic incumbent, and then in his lieutenant governor's races, and of course in 2019 when he ran for governor, when he had to go to a runoff in the Republican primary, but still pulled it out. This guy just finds a way to win.
Appreciate it, bud. Have a good day.
Thanks, Austin.
Hey, y'all have a good one. Good talking to you as always.
It was Austin Barbour there. Appreciate his time. Yeah, I think he's right. I think it's Presley, but more for the reason that I opened up, which is them changing that law a few years ago where you had to win the majority of state districts as well as the popular vote. Now it's just the popular vote, because while Hood was, I think, 47% or something last time, he only won 74, losing 120 House districts, something like that. And that created a problem because obviously the Democrats wouldn't have a majority in the Senate or House or wherever decides that at that point. So anyway, it's kind of that. But again, debate tonight, 7 o'clock, Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We'll have that, and then the election on Wednesday. Tuesday. Yeah, duh. All elections are on Tuesday. That was kind of dumb.
In Louisiana, the elections are on Saturdays.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, it kind of makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, really. Yeah. No one's working.
I mean, that's not a stupid thing.
No. I mean,
look at Louisiana.
We get a lot of stuff wrong.
Napoleonic Code and all that stuff.
We get a lot of stuff wrong.
Look at it.
Stuff right. He got mentioned in the thread. I saw where Oxford got to the bottom of the fountain scandal.
I've got the press release on that. Hold on, and I'll read it before we go to break. I get all the arrest press releases. Got it right here. This is from the Oxford Police Department, October 31st, 2023. On October 24th, 2023, the Oxford Police Department took a report of property damage that occurred in the Pocket Park located next to City Hall. The damage to repair and replace was approximately $4,700, which included both the fountain structure and the plumbing. After investigation, Abigail Fuqua, if I'm mispronouncing, I apologize.
Fuqua.
Fuqua?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Fuqua?
Yeah, that's correct. Fuqua?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Abigail Fuqua, 19, of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Madison Brown, 18, of Davidson, North Carolina, were arrested and each charged with felony malicious mischief. Fuqua and Brown were each taken before a municipal court judge for their initial bond hearing and each issued a $5,000 bond. We appreciate everyone's help in identifying these two individuals from the Oxford Police Department yesterday.
Are they students?
I do believe they were students. Yes, that was.
Were they?
I don't know that.
Have they been evicted from campus? I'm asking.
I don't know the answer to these questions.
Well, you're pretty connected.
I tried. I can't say I've spent 1 second on that. Yes. It is kind of similar to Lord Farquaad from Shrek.
That's a lot of money to spend on a fountain.
It was pretty, though. Pretty. I'm just glad. Like I said, I'm just glad my kid didn't knock it over. I mean, she touched it, and I'm a little concerned. Glad I didn't have to deal with that. I don't think you can give a 7-year-old a felony, though.
Be hard.
Yeah. Malicious intent would be a difficult thing to prove at that point. So yeah, I've got their mugshots. That was the press release there on that one, but it's solved. I'm assuming it will be replaced in the Pocket Park for approximately $4,700 appear to be what the going rate is for said fountain and plumbing. Fountain, I guess, is the word, but I mean it's a sphere with water running over it. I guess that's the right term.
I need to shut up. I don't go anywhere anyway, so making another enemy doesn't really matter. But there needed to be a hand-raised guy in the room that goes, is this thing easy to push off? Because if it is, it's probably not the greatest idea in the world.
Someone's going to push it.
Yes. I'd like to think that I would have said that in the room.
Yeah. All right. We'll continue on with our topics today in a second. First, Parham Shrimp, ParhamShrimp.com. 7 different flavors available for you. Everything from New Orleans style barbecue to their signature great garlic flavor there with Parham Shrimp. Tons of options. You can get a bunch of your favorites, or you can try a bunch of samples, kind of like their full meals in a bag. They got the garlic herb butter, the French Quarter Alfredo, the little pepper on that thing, and it is fantastic. It's great for lunch, protein snacks, or dinner. With everybody being so busy, use code RG with ParhamShrimp.com. You get 5 pouches or more at 25% off. Again, that's code RG, ParhamShrimp.com.
We're brought to you by Pinnacle. Pinnacle based in Madison, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, actually now. They've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. Investing's treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research at Pinnacle. To learn more, go to mypinnwealth.com, MYPINN wealth.com. That's our sphere. We're also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you want a trip that creates a lifetime of unique memories, get in touch with John. He's just give him some parameters, give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you're going to have a difficult time finding on your own, especially if you're planning a trip that's kind of ahead of time. You want to make sure that it's good. Do that. You don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services either. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square, Opa. It's a perfect place to plan your company dinner, your festive party event, your Christmas party. Fabulous food, great craft libations. They can accommodate up to 200 guests. For catering or booking information, contact Jeannie, 601-421-7147. And we're brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency, connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, they can help you. If you're looking for quality, hard-to-find talent, they can help you too. It's always free for the candidate, and payment of service for a company solely contingent on if you decide to hire a candidate that they send. In other words, you've got nothing to lose. So give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call at 662-832-5138 or check out the new and improved website, servicespecialistltd.com. And get the beautiful and healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile, from routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign. Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself at corinthdental.com.
Podcast is brought to you by the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. Basketball season tickets, they both start on Monday. They are for sale now. Women's tickets as cheap as $50. Men's tickets available also. And then baseball renewals, ticket purchases for the season beginning in February. It is those are on sale also. And then they got the TADPAD game. It's the Friday before ULM. It's not on TV. It's not being streamed. You have to be in attendance to see the game. You can get tickets for that. I think all the VIP stuff is sold out, but tickets still available for that. OleMissTix.com. Let's see. Yeah, I think my prediction was right. It was a little chillier last night, and the trick-or-treater turnout was certainly lower.
Yeah.
It was not even close.
It was definitely lower.
It was over earlier and lower in general. It started a little earlier, and then it was done. I mean, because I was getting – last year, we were getting door rings at 9:15.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think I was taking up the chairs and putting out all the stuff, because when we had kind of a setup out front, kind of took all that stuff down at 8:20 last night, 8:15, maybe even a little earlier than that.
I think ours was shut down by 8.
I mean, I think Carlene was in bed by like 8:45, which, considering, was a win.
Hell, I was in bed at 9:30.
Were you?
Yeah.
I wasn't like wired or anything, but I just was kind of sitting there. I was like, I don't know, I'm not going to sleep yet. I'm just kind of here.
I mean, I had fun.
I flipped on some stuff, and
yeah,
it takes me a minute to sort of get in the mood, but then once I'm in the mood, it's fun. But like when I first see the first ones, I'm like, it's early. Like, giving me a minute. Like, it's not time. Like,
yeah, the first ones came at like 5:45.
See, my first came at like 4:50, and it's like,
oh, come
5
on.
o'clock. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm not. I mean, I'm literally like getting all the stuff out. It's like, just, can you come back through?
And then the other ones, when you open the door, and they just look at you. And
like,
you just look at,
something.
I'll look at them. I'm like, you're going to say it. You're going to say it.
You demand a verbal.
Especially the older kids. Like the little kids are like, okay, whatever. You're a little tongue-tied. But the older kids that shouldn't be out there doing it anyway, you're going to say trick or treat before I hand you some candy. I had 2 or 3 stare downs. I just looked at them.
I'm not handing you the Hershey's.
They looked at me. I looked at them. Kind of like, yeah? What's up?
And?
Well,
sometimes they just do the move where they just hold the bag out a little farther. They extend their arms, and then you get the...
This is charity, but it's not that much charity. Come on, say the words.
Do you give multiple pieces to the better costumes? Do you grade to any extent?
Maybe a little bit, and then I always give the little kids more.
Okay. Because the older you are, the less
you're going to have to impress me.
Okay.
And I told Laura this morning, get that stuff out of the house. So OUB is getting a bunch of candy today.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's gone. I said, get it.
I had one full bag not opened, and it was the good stuff. It was like the Reese's Hershey's bag was the one that didn't get opened at all.
Was that just a dog barking?
It appeared to be the dog.
Right, I need to go let them out. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. We'll hang out. I have not checked out TexAgs or anybody to see what they're saying about Lane's comments. That does not shock me in the slightest, though, that they said that it should have been recruited, not collected. But we all know what Lane was getting at. He hurt some feelings yesterday. We had the Outkick article on Lane, basically telling him to shut up. I mean, last time I checked, he's on pace for quite the season. I think that he's proven it's not simply just talk. Yeah, Grind says, weird how A&M lumps Ole Miss in with State. They always say Mississippi schools. Yeah, it's, like I said, there's just, the behavior is what it is. This is not a shock by now. Triple Mass says not one kid took a Three Musketeers last night. That's one of the healthier candy options. I like a Three Musketeers, but I guess I get why a kid doesn't necessarily choose that over. I think I think what you're doing though, you're actually complimenting your selection, because if a kid doesn't take a Three Musketeers, that means you got a lot of good stuff in that basket. Because they're probably still going to take a Three Musketeers over like some crappy like just sugar candy of some sort. Like, you probably got some other chocolate options in there.
I would think so. By the way, you mentioned TexAgs. I'm talking to both Olin Buchanan and David Nuno actually later this morning for an Oxford Exxon podcast. So
yeah, Gilbo was going straight for clicks yesterday. That's what he was
absolutely
doing.
So we'll get the TexAgs reaction to Lane's commentary. I'll ask both of them about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's state secrets at this point. It does appear to be a real tree weekend.
David Eckert of the Clarion Ledger will join as well, and then Ben Mintz. So a lot of A&M Ole Miss.
I do not need to comment on the rebelgrove.com chili message board thread. I had made enemies a couple weeks ago when I put the real tree venison recipe out that I had made multiple times now, because it has beans in it. I like beans in my chili. Get over it. I'm not from Texas. I don't care.
Yeah, me too. I made chili yesterday.
However, Sandman putting corn in it. He made taco soup or cowboy stew. He did not make chili.
That's not chili. It's taco soup.
Beans are an optional thing that we can have the argument about. Corn makes it a completely different dish.
Makes it a soup.
It's cowboy stew or taco soup, depending on what else is going in there.
Yeah.
As someone in the thread said, all you're lacking at that point is the avocado slices and the creme fraiche. Yes, that's correct. Ginger said they had one trick-or-treater empty the entire bucket into a backpack from their front porch.
People.
Carmen needs to hit that asshole, even if he's like 9.
Yep.
I don't care.
100%.
Needs to get cut from his little league team, not make all-stars.
Something bad.
Yeah. His backpack breaks on the way to school. I don't know. Something.
Yep.
Universe needs to get you for that one.
Yep. Oh, there's some karma coming.
I do not know what color they would wear with a real tree helmet. I have no idea. I don't know what jersey they're wearing this week.
What they wear last year, powder blue with it?
Yeah. I guess red's a possibility.
Red would look good with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the red at all.
It'll be the white pant, though. I'll tell you that. You can bet on that. Do we ever find out a time on the midnight yell?
I haven't yet.
I have a hard time believing it's going to be midnight.
Oh, I saw some. I know at least one fraternity is planning to send pledges to almost disrupt. So I'm a little concerned it's going to be a scene. Like it's going to turn chaotic, I guess would be the words that they use. But I think they allow visitors. I think they're good with people coming in and watching their shenanigans.
I would be against the people that would go to make it a scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their thing.
10 o'clock for Midnight Yell. 10 p.m. That's not egregious.
No, that's fine. I actually got...
Do you have an issue with their Midnight Yell being at 10 p.m.?
No, it's good.
Okay.
I mean, everybody makes fun of it, and I like to make fun of it too, but at the same time, I would be against going and disrupting.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you should disrupt it. I think you should make fun of it once you leave.
Yeah. But it's their thing.
Because the joke things and the gyrations and stuff, we can't help but make fun of it.
Right.
Look, I mean, you're asking for it.
Yes.
I can't help it.
I think they know it's going to be ridiculed, but I think if you go to disrupt it, you're being an ass.
Okay. Randall says every Yale practice is at 10:15. I mean, 10 o'clock. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Then why do they call it midnight?
That's my point. 10 p.m. Yale doesn't quite come off the tongue the same way.
Yeah. I always just assumed it would be at midnight. But then when you said it was at Lamar Yard, I was like, well, that won't be midnight.
Well, but my thought is Lamar Yard just closing on a huge weekend at 10 p.m. for this? Like, that's why I got a little confused.
Do they usually get a late night crowd?
Well, I don't know, but I mean.
I've never been. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never been late, so I have no clue. Maybe they close at 10 for all I know. I have no clue. Yeah, it's midnight in College Station, right? Somebody asking. I have no clue. I don't know.
Will Ross be here? Is Ross coming?
Sure.
Will he be at Midnight Yell?
I don't know.
At 10 p.m. Yell?
I don't know. You think administration goes to Midnight Yell?
I don't know. I'm asking you. You're the one that has all the contacts at Texas A&M.
Oh, yes. Please.
You're the one that talks to the athletics director at Texas A&M University.
The last time I have done... Let's see.
Luker's not going to be in town this weekend. I actually would ask him to go do it, but he's not going to be here.
Let's see. The last time I had a text message with Ross. January 25th, 2022.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
What happened?
I just haven't had a reason. That's when he declined comment on whatever I was working on.
Y'all were always pretty tight, though.
We were fine, yeah.
He never really got mad at you. He got mad at me.
I don't think he hates me or anything. We just have had no reason to communicate.
Yeah, I don't think he hates me.
I mean, he probably sees my Twitter comments occasionally and goes, damn it. But, I mean, beyond that, it's probably fine.
Yeah, y'all were boys.
Yeah, 10 p.m. is pretty late for me, especially with 11 o'clock game on. I guess I could have invited Ross on the podcast this week. He would have said no. But.
Yeah, he wouldn't have done it.
Hey, Ross, I hadn't talked to you in a while. Just curious. You want to come on Thursday morning?
He said, nah, I'm good.
You want to talk to Neal and Jeffrey? No, I got a dentist appointment. Sorry.
He did apologize after he yelled at me.
Did he?
Yeah.
What'd he yell about?
He got upset at the I don't remember who Ole Miss played, but I took a picture of the Tuies.
Oh, that's right. I
said, don't tell me Chad Morris isn't a candidate.
That's right. Forgot about that.
He called me and he picked the wrong. Well, he started DMing me. He DM'd me at the absolute wrong time. He DM'd me as the Cubs were in the process of blowing Game 1 of the NLCS.
So your blood pressure was already up.
Well, I was in a. There's two things had happened. It was a Saturday, and I was watching. The Cubs had led the game.
Oh, you'd already left the field,
Oh yeah, Ole Miss had played like an 11 a.m. game.
Okay.
And the Cubs were in the process of blowing a lead with their bullpen, and my wife was thoroughly pissed at me because she was having to bring Carson back from some baseball tournament in the Delta somewhere. And I made the mistake of making some sort of a joke about, maybe later that evening, and she was thoroughly shot me down. And so
okay.
I wasn't I was realizing that it was just not, I was not in the best mood. And he came after me on DMs, and we ended up actually going back and forth, but we made up.
I look back on it, and that entire Freeze and then even the Bjork era is just like, it's just a blur because there was so much in every sport. Because
constant.
I mean, you had the obvious football things that we always talk about. We have the Vitter Bjork PowerPoint AK thing. I mean, that was during this era too.
Yeah.
That
me and Vitter and his wife on the elevator. If eyes could kill.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Right through me. Because he tried to do that I don't know who you are thing. And I'm like, well, she does.
I mean, even if Ross had stayed like 2 more weeks and like one baseball game goes different, he fires Mike in like 2019, I guess, right before he left. I mean, every sport had like stuff through there.
HSC Golfer says I'm mispronouncing Fuqua. In Louisiana, it was pronounced Fuquay. Our next door neighbors were that name.
Oh, really?
Before we moved to our other house in Ruston.
Mm. Okay. You want to relive that whole era? You want to go back? You good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You good? I'll let you adjust a couple things.
I'd love to forget it. It was not a fun time.
Well, we can remove draft night. I just mean like the constant every day of stuff happening. Like, because it was. I mean, every day it was like, oh my god, like it. I don't know. In the moment, you realized this is not normal. This is weird.
I'm trying to remember what.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what moment. I'll tell you when it was. It was the day after the Egg Bowl win in 2017, 16, 17, 17.
Okay. Yeah, that was the Egg Bowl win. Matt's first year, 31-28 down there.
And I almost feel like I don't need to protect people anymore. I feel like we can be somewhat frank about what happened. If you remember, in early November, Ole Miss went to Kentucky and played a game. I think they won on a DK Metcalf touchdown.
He caught a ball in the back of the end zone like the last play.
And I wrote a big story about the Ole Miss job, and I gave people anonymity.
Yeah, I remember that.
And just mass anonymity. And I ended up talking to like 30 people. And I gave Ross a heads up that, hey, this is running. You know what I mean? Hey, just letting you know this is going to run. I'm not trying to stir it up. It's actually pretty informative. And we ended up having kind of a conversation about what people said. And, you know, I said in that, hey, I didn't really write about Matt very much. And it was the whole, yeah, well, we're not hiring Matt. Cool. Fine. And that month, I didn't write about Matt Luke, not because it was more out of respect to Matt. I like Matt. I like his family. His daughter his niece and Caroline were great friends and are still great friends. I mean, she was over at our house the night before the Ole Miss Arkansas game, eating dinner at our house. They remain really good friends. They've gone to see each other, stay with each other, college stuff, right? I didn't write about Matt, not as a form of disrespect, but I was assured, oh, no, he's not getting the job. And then if you remember the Monday of that Egg Bowl week, on that Saturday, who'd they lose to? Texas A&M? The last home game?
Feels right.
Feels right. That was the Tuberville night on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
And I came back and I started getting some calls, and I was getting a lot of Dave Doran stuff. And I wrote about Dave Doran on Sunday in 10 Weekend Thoughts. I think I led 10 Weekend Thoughts with Doran. I don't exactly remember. But the next day, before we go on the air, or whatever you call this, we got the call, hey, do you got a minute? And I was asked, why are you the only one that wrote about Doran? And I'm like, I don't know why other people didn't write about something. I don't know. Am I way off? And it was like, no. I mean, you're on. And then on that Friday, it becomes obvious that something has happened. And it's like, I remember going, not this place. I don't mean Ole Miss, but at the time it was like this administration, the current iteration of this place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is just effed up. This is failure. The way they're doing things won't work.
Mm-hmm.
That was, for me, it was that Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
After the Egg Bowl.
2017.
They win the game, and all of a sudden there's this momentum, but the momentum is coming from people who want this to happen for their personal.
Mm-hmm. It was insular. Yeah.
Yeah, it was real insular. It was Oxford.
Yeah.
And it was like, I get it that the campus is here, but there's a lot of people that love Ole Miss and support Ole Miss who don't live in Oxford. And when you're letting the Oxford bubble, when a chancellor is letting the Oxford bubble do things so that because he thinks that will protect him, it was like, this place, man, I think I'm phrasing it right. This iteration of Ole Miss won't work.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark NESPARC. Service people across rural communities. 2 packages: the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's NESpark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, and much more. So to get the best internet in Lafayette County. 662-238-3159.
Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Or are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He owns multiple franchises and businesses and uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net or contact Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. Or 404-973-9901. Southern Traditions Farm is a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails, so much offered at Southern Traditions, including horseback riding offerings from beginner lessons to advanced to competing at nationally recognized competitions. It's also a great venue for corporate outings, events, that type of thing. So get in touch with them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm. I'll be taping Pete's Pigskin Preview this evening, getting you ready for Texas A&M at Ole Miss. That's brought to you by Riverland Roofing. Would you like some peace of mind knowing that your roof is taken care of, whether you need an inspection, a new roof, or a maintenance program? Riverland Roofing has you covered, home or business. As a GAF Master Elite Contractor, they can offer warranties that last a lifetime. Licensed and insured. Riverland services Mississippi and its surrounding states. So text or call Riverland today at 662-644-4297. And are you ready for the ultimate college experience? Welcome to College Town, Oxford, your new home away from home. They know you want the best. That's exactly what they offer. No more long commutes or missing out on campus events at Ole Miss. College Town, Oxford's right next door to the Ole Miss campus, offering 2, 3, 4, and 5 bedroom cottages, each with individual leases because they believe in flexibility and simplicity. So don't break up the gang. Grab your friends, pick out your favorite floor plan, reserve it today at collegetownoxford.com. Collegetown, Oxford, this must be the place. Text their VIP list today to be the first to know when their leasing for fall 2024 is open. 662-300-3733.
We're into November, and Heavenly Sunshine has Christmas on their mind. They're excited to announce Holiday Lights by Heavenly Sunshine. Christmas lights are beautiful. They can be a lot of work, so let them take care of the hassle and do the work for you with a full-service installation plan. They install, take down, and store the lights, commercial-grade LEDs that are 100% customizable to your home or business. They take care of the lights, might take care of the gifts. Free estimate for the end of the month. Mention MPW 10 for 10% off. Heavenly Sunshine's been serving the Mid-South for 4 decades. Full-service commercial and residential property maintenance, including power washing, soft wash roof cleaning, facade cleaning, and window cleaning. That's heavenlysunshine.com. 662-342-1203. Let's see. I haven't looked at numbers-wise. Charlie Morton coming back to the Braves, I don't have an issue with that. I don't think it would be stupid expensive. Neal was giving me some of those free agent numbers yesterday, and like Aaron Nola, I would no way pay that, but otherwise, The Braves are not going to be big spenders in the free agent market this year. I mean, there's not.
I thought that story was pretty interesting because it gave predicted numbers, and a lot of the numbers were lower than what some people have been saying. If that's the case, it's got a chance to be a pretty interesting offseason.
Yeah. Dan Mullen back at State. Well, that would be interesting.
I mean,
you could do worse.
Well, they have done worse.
Every time since then.
Boy, Kirby Smart eviscerated him the other day. That was, whew. Like, that would be something he'd have to overcome in an interview with me.
Hey, that dude.
A guy who has built his program on nothing but recruiting and will tell you that publicly. Says you don't like to recruit. You'd have to explain to me, hey, I know you don't like it, but you're going to do it, right?
Line keeps falling a little bit in this Ole Miss A&M game.
What's it down to?
I think it hit even 2.5 at some point yesterday. Might have come back up to 3, but it's been somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It's a weird game because I feel like we've been somebody mentioned we hadn't really talked about the game. I don't know a lot what to say because Ole Miss has to block Texas A&M. If A&M plays to its talent level in the defensive line, it's going to make this a very difficult game for Ole Miss.
Well, the reason we don't talk about it incessantly, here's why, is because I'm about to tape 4 interviews over the next 5 hours that are about nothing but the game. Then I'm going to tape a show with Pete tonight that's going to be about the game. And then we're going to talk to Jeffrey in the morning and it's going to be about the game. And so you run out of things to say about the game. There's only so many times that you can ask. The 2 questions in my mind, can Ole Miss handle Texas A&M's defensive front enough to establish a running game? And 2, is Jackson Dart healthy enough to run as a quarterback? And I don't know the answer to either of those.
But for me personally, A&M as a program defies logic. So there's nothing to really say because they don't play to their talent level. They don't play together. They're not cohesive. Right. So it's
the line is sitting at 3 right now.
It's at 3 right now.
The money lines, Texas A&M is a plus 124. So there's not a lot of value there. And Ole Miss is a minus 148.
Okay.
The over-under is 53.5. I mean, literally, there are no values here. The money line on the over is minus 112. The money line on the under is minus 108. Vegas would prefer that you not bet this game.
Ole Miss fans are incredibly confident in this game.
Yeah.
Incredibly confident. Kind of almost not looking ahead to Georgia per se, but looking to what that Georgia game could look like with a win. Raiders fired Josh McDaniels yesterday, 3-5 for Vegas to this point. It's going to be hard for him to get another head gig. It just has not worked in his two stints at this point.
He'll end up back in New England.
Just running the offense. And if Bill stays.
Supposedly, Belichick quietly agreed to a contract extension.
Will the World Series go back to Arlington? Or is it going to end tonight?
I don't know. I tried to watch some of it yesterday, and
Texas scored 10 runs in the first 3 innings.
Yeah, I looked up and it was like
7
to nothing or something. I'm like, I'm not watching this.
Toledo knocked off Buffalo 31-13 last night. Central Michigan 37-31 over Northern Illinois prior to their probation stint.
When's the Louisiana Tech Liberty game?
It's tonight,
isn't it? I'll just tell you, I love Liberty minus whatever the hell they have to lay.
Why?
I just think it's a blowout waiting to happen.
Really?
Yep. Can't say I'm going to watch it. I won't watch it because I'll have Pete on. I'll do that show. But
no, Liberty's a Saturday game.
Oh, is it? That might be one of my picks.
Yeah,
what's that
Saturday.
line?
Let me look. 1 second.
I mean, I can do it too. I've got it right here.
No, it's fine.
South Carolina line is still at 15.5, in case you're wondering. Texas remains a 4.5-point favorite over Kansas State. The Arkansas-Florida line has stayed at 6 all week. Tennessee has stayed at 35 all week.
16.5.
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot of points to lay, but I'd be tempted to lay them. The Missouri line is down to 15. I wonder why that line's dropping.
From 17.5?
Yeah. It's dropped to
17.5 felt big.
It is a big number. Oklahoma remains a 6-point favorite over Oklahoma State. James Madison remains a 5.5-point favorite on the road at Georgia State. Here's an interesting game. Seriously, from a betting standpoint, might be not a terrible play. Iowa -5 at Northwestern. Northwestern has played better of late.
Oh.
And Iowa can't score.
Well, I said over under 29.5 to open.
The over-under now is 31.
Okay, it's going up.
A game I'm watching, Illinois getting 2 points at Minnesota. Here's a stat for you. Brett Bielema has never lost to Minnesota.
How many times has he played Minnesota?
It's like 9 times.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because he was Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's never lost to Minnesota. Houston's a 3.5-point favorite at Baylor. The Auburn line still 12.5. Tigers favored by 12.5 at Vanderbilt. ULM getting 2.5 at Southern Miss. California getting 24 at Oregon. Kansas getting 2.5 at Iowa State. I don't hate Iowa State at home against the Jayhawks after that game. BYU getting 10 at West Virginia. Washington still a 3.5-point favorite at USC. Kentucky, 3.5-point favorite at Mississippi State. The LSU-Alabama line down to 3 points. LSU getting 3 in Tuscaloosa. Miami is a 4-point favorite at NC State. There's some good games this weekend.
You think Alabama is more likely to lose this week than Ole Miss is more likely to lose? Because those two games opened at the exact same number and are sitting currently at the exact same number. They both have gone from 4.5 to 3.
I think it's more likely that Ole Miss beats Texas A&M than LSU beats Alabama, but it's close.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Stat from Orange Beach Reb on the board, courtesy of one of Andy Staples' videos. Texas A&M has not scored a second-half touchdown since September the 23rd.
Say that again?
A&M has not scored a touchdown in the second half of a football game since September 23rd.
That's right. They did not score. That was against Arkansas, right?
That was the day Ole Miss played Alabama.
So on the 23rd, that's when they played Arkansas?
I don't know who they played that day. I'm just saying that was the last time they scored a touchdown in the second half.
Because I remember the second half of the Red River, whatever they call it, the game in Arlington. Arkansas kind of shut them down in the second half.
Okay.
I mean, they're super talented, and so people get scared of it. And I do think Dart's banged up. I just think Ole Miss wins. This team wins. They find ways to win. I think this team wins this week and loses next week.
They did not score a touchdown against Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, or South Carolina in the second half.
Wow.
Their last touchdown in the second half was September 23rd against Auburn, a game they won 27-10.
That's pretty telling.
And they haven't beat a ranked team on the road since 2014. Two trends stat for you there.
Yeah.
Again, the 2014 game has nothing to do with today. But,
nope, it doesn't.
But as a program, they've had an identity. They lose games that they shouldn't lose. And then they lose some games they should lose.
Well, as a program, they sort of have an identity period of everybody hypes them, and then it just doesn't work out. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I always feel better when I hear Lane Kiffin say what he said. Like, I feel like I'm not a total idiot. I'm just a basic idiot. But I thought A&M was a sleeper in the SEC this year. Now, look, the 3 games they've lost are not egregious. They lost at Miami, they lost at home to Alabama, and they lost at Tennessee. A lot of teams would lose those games.
We will have Jeffrey tomorrow. More stuff coming. Had a podcast up with Greg Kessinger. It's in the stream. He was great. Talked a lot about different moments throughout his season playing the LCS for the Astros and the route to get here for him. His big catch the other night, the brawl he was trying to avoid, and more. So appreciate the time there with him. So a lot of stuff coming up still in the week with MPW Digital, Rebel Grove in the meantime. I did click a second ago. We mentioned the men opening against Alabama State on Monday, the women opening at 11 a.m. against Queens, and ESPN has their first women's basketball bracketology out this morning. Has Ole Miss a 3 seed in the preseason. they would host a regional or a pod in Oxford if that were to be the case. The top 4 seeds play at home in the way the women work for their first and second round. Obviously, it is November the 1st, but the pod for Ole Miss is 3 seed Ole Miss, 14 seed Towson, 11 seed TCU, and 6 seed Gonzaga is the teams involved there in this bracketology by Charlie Krim of ESPN. So all that, more coming up as the week moves on. Again, Jeffrey in the morning, Neal's picks tomorrow, and much more as we move ahead to Ole Miss and Texas A&M, 11 o'clock Saturday, Vaught Hemingway Stadium. Take care. Talk to you then.